welcome. Thank you for joining me here at Spot on the Money. I'm your host, Betsy Hume, and I am thrilled to be joined today by Ali Hashemian, the president of Kinetic Financial. How are you, Ali?
Thanks for having me, Betsy.
My pleasure. So I have a lot of things I want to ask you about, a lot of things I think we all need to learn about, or maybe think we understand but don't completely. I know financial planning is a vast, broad subject. And I know that some people probably think that they have a financial plan, but maybe they don't really have a financial plan. How do you know? How can you be sure?
That's a tough question, but there's a couple of big flags that I think you should look out for. Number one is, do you have it written down? So that's one of the main things I see is people think that they have a financial plan, but they don't actually have it written down anywhere. It's kind of in the back of their mind or in the back of their financial advisor's mind, but that's not a secure or reliable way to plan for your finances. So number one, is it written down? Is it put together? Do you have it in a binder, something like this, that is all put together and you can go somewhere and find it? And if
always know where it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if your friends, your family ask you, hey, what's going on in your financial plan, you can whip it out confidently and say, don't worry, I got it all together. So that's the first thing I think you should be aware of if you are wondering whether or not you really have a financial plan. The second thing that you should be looking out for, is it comprehensive? So is your financial plan just an investment statement on your Fidelity account? Because that's not a financial plan, right? Your financial plan should include a lot of different aspects when it regards overall holistic financial planning. So investments are definitely one part of it, but you should definitely have a tax analysis in here as well. You should have a retirement cash flow analysis to map out exactly how much money you have coming in versus how much money is going out so that you can make sure you're not running out of money. You should definitely have your insurance stuff put together, because last thing you want is something like long-term care to blow up your entire retirement plan. And then last but not least is an estate plan. You need to make sure if you need a trust, you have a trust. If you need a will, you have a will. Almost everybody out there needs an advanced healthcare directive, because trust me, you don't want the courts to make your healthcare decisions. And almost everybody out there is going to need a power of attorney, because again, trust me, you don't want the courts to make financial decisions for you. So those are the two big things I would say to look out for to know if you have a financial plan. Is number one, is it written down? And number two, is it holistic? Does it include all of these other areas of financial planning?
Wow, yeah. And for something to be comprehensive, I think a lot of us don't even know what is a comprehensive plan, right? What it all entails. Even those things that you listed, I wouldn't have thought to put them all together. So that makes a lot of sense, especially to have it all in one place, too, so that it's absolutely tangible and you can come back to it anytime you need. What about, like, I know for myself, I've thought I should have a financial plan. But then sometimes I tell myself, I'm too young, I don't have to worry about that yet. Is that just something I'm telling myself?
Yes, it is something you're telling yourself. And by the way, everybody's telling themselves something, right? You're saying I'm too young, the person down the street saying I'm too old, it's too late. There's always an excuse to not plan, right? But, you know, not planning, that's a plan to fail, basically.
Oh,
so
that's so good. I'm writing that down.
So really, yeah, I think that there's no age. I deal with clients that are in their 20s, 30s. They make tons of money. They work for Amazon, Google, they're social media influencers, all these things. And, you know, we think about millennials as lazy, but there's a lot of millennials out there that are making a killing. They're raking it in. I also meet with people that are in their 70s, 80s, even in their 90s.
Oh, right.
So, again, it's never too early. It's never too late. It's all about making sure that you have a custom financial plan that really addresses your own needs. My young clients, my own cryptocurrency. My older clients, my own CDs, right? Because their risk tolerances are different. But nonetheless, they both need a financial plan.
The only mistake is to not do anything.
That's right.
Right. That makes sense.
Failing to plan is a plan to fail.
I did write that down. I wasn't just making it up. That's so good. What makes Kinetic different from other financial firms?
Well, I think one of it is planning. The fact that we're not just an investment firm. You know, a lot of financial firms out there might have a ruse of being financial planners, but the reality is all they're doing is managing money, right? They're putting your money into a fund or into a stock or whatever it might be.
Interesting. So can you elaborate? What's the difference between just managing money and actually planning for it?
Investment management is just trying to get you the best risk-adjusted return. Taking your accounts, whether they're retirement or investment accounts, and putting them in places where you can get the best risk-adjusted return. Again, don't get me wrong, that's a big part of financial planning, but it's only one part of financial planning. So what makes us different is we do investment management. We also do tax strategies and tax planning. We also help with estate planning, insurance, retirement. So that's one of the big things that makes us different, is that we're not just investment managers. We really do help with all of these other areas.
That comprehensive thing you were talking about.
The other thing I think that really makes us different is we are in a sweet spot. So a lot of independent financial planning firms, they're really small. They're, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in the company. And then there's the big investment management firms that have thousands of employees, thousands of clients, and you're just lost in the database.
Get lost in the sea.
Just another number. So I think that what makes us different is we're really in that sweet spot. We got 30 plus full-time employees in our headquarters in downtown Los Angeles. We have over 25 advisors in offices all throughout the country. So that really puts us in a position where we can do things customized for our client, but at the same time, really give them all of the breadth of services that they're looking for. And so that's one of the things that we're offering to all of our viewers is if you call us right now, 800-711-4818. That number again is 800-711-4818. Call Kinetic, and we're going to offer you a couple of things for absolutely complimentary. The first thing that we'll offer you is a copy of my book, Overtax. You can buy it on Amazon, by the way. It's $14.99. But when you call us, we're going to give you a copy. We're going to send it to you in the mail, absolutely complimentary. And this book became a bestseller in less than 24 hours. All because it has a little picture of me on the back, by the way.
Of course.
No, I'm kidding. It's because people want to learn more about how they can avoid taxation, right? But the most valuable thing that we're offering everybody that's watching today is our spot check analysis. This is a proprietary analysis system that we've created. It covers over 62 different items in your financial life. So we're going to make sure everything gets looked at. Everything from your bonds to your stocks to your taxes to your estate plan. Anything and everything you can think of when it comes to finances, we're going to cover it in this nice, neat, leather-bound folder. And again, no costs, no obligation. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call us at 800-711-4818.
Wow, that's everything you were talking about. It's all there in one place. It's written down. And if 62 points isn't comprehensive, I don't know what is. That would certainly help me sleep better. Like Ali said, call 1-800-711-4818. We're looking forward to hearing from you. We're going to be back in just a second. I have a lot more to ask you, but we have to take a little break. Thanks for joining us.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have, by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Hello and welcome back. Thanks for joining us on Spot on the Money. I'm your host, Betsy Hume, joined again by Ali Hashemian, president of Kinetic Financial. I'm having so much fun and learning so much. I feel like I thought I kind of knew what was going on in my financial world, but now I'm quite sure that I don't know everything. One thing that I've heard a lot about, and I'm sure everyone has heard this word, is diversification. Right? Big buzzword in financial world. I know it's important. I know that it's something we should be aware of, but I guess I don't really know exactly what it means when it comes to finances. Can you help me?
Yeah, and there's a lot of different interpretations when it comes to diversification.
Right.
So you're not alone.
Oh, good.
I think a lot of people think they know what diversification is, and they may not know what it is, or they might not be executing it. You know, risk is an incredible part of investing. Warren Buffett's #1 rule of investing is don't lose money.
I remember that.
His #2 rule of investing, don't forget rule #1.
Right.
So this is why diversification is so important, because it helps manage risk. And I meet with people all the time that come in for our spot check analysis, and they say, Ali, I'm already very well diversified because I own all these different funds all over the place. And we do our analysis, and we're able to see that they do own a lot of different funds, but those funds overlap in terms of investment holdings. They all own Amazon. They all own Google. So, and you're paying all these funds a different fee.
Own the same stock 4 times.
Oh. Exactly. So, that's not real diversification. I'll tell you the way that we do it. We take our clients' assets and we separate them into 2 major categories. First are protected products. These are products that don't involve any risk of principal. There's 2 subcategories in this pool. Number 1, bank products. These are your standard CDs, checking, savings. Again, you have principal protection, though, with the bank. And then the second place where you can access principal protection is through insurance companies, things like annuities or cash value life insurance or other guaranteed insurance contracts. So that's kind of the protected side of things. But then there's also the at-risk side. And in the at-risk side, we also have 2 subcategories. First are your more traditional investments. These are things that everybody out there has probably seen and probably has. Things like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, all the standard investments that you see out there. But the second category in the at-risk pool is alternative investments. And this is starting to become a bigger and bigger part of people's portfolios. Things like real estate, currencies, commodities, derivatives. We're hearing a lot of news right now about cryptocurrencies, right?
I want to hear more and more and more about this, please. I could listen all day. We do have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to dive back into that. Before we take a break, I want to let everybody know what we're offering them today because it is amazing. If you call today, we're going to offer you a free copy of Ali's book, Overtaxed. Incredible book. I've read it myself before he came today. Do my homework. Also, even more important, the comprehensive spot check analysis, 62-point coverage, making sure all of your bases are covered. Call us now, 800-711-4818. We'll be right back.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
So we're back, Spot on the Money. I'm your host, Betsy Hume. I'm joined by Ali Hashemian, the president of Kinetic. And I really want to dive back into, we were talking about diversification before the break. And I didn't even know how much I didn't know about diversification. The way you break it down makes so much sense with the 2 different subcategories of the 2 different categories, protected and at risk.
And you know what? It gets a lot more complicated. Honestly, we try to make it somewhat simple, but the reality of the situation is when you look at these 2 categories, right? The principal protected stuff as well as the at-risk stuff. In each of these categories, we're talking about not hundreds of different options, but thousands of different options, right?
Wow.
There's a lot of different CDs and checking and savings accounts. There's tons of different annuities with different insurance companies. There's lots of different funds and investment vehicles, lots of different cryptocurrencies and different types of currencies and derivatives. There's tons of different stuff. And, we're an independent firm. So we take a look at all of the different options out there from banks, insurance companies, and investment portfolios. This always reminds me of a funny family story of mine, Betsy. I have this cute little 3-year-old niece, and one day she came to her father, my brother-in-law, and said, "Daddy, can we play Tea Party?" Of course, his answer was, "Yeah, And she ran to the back of the house, grabbed her 2 little plastic teacups, filled them with water, and brought them, and they started sipping on the water.
Aww.
Really cute, right? My sister, her mother, walks in and says, "What are you guys doing?" And my brother-in-law said, "You got to see this. It's the cutest thing our daughter has ever done." She runs back, fills the teacups up with water again, and brings them back to the living room. And when they start sipping on it, my sister has a look of disgust on her face.
Why?
So my brother-in-law said, "Why? What's wrong?" She said, "Honey, our daughter is this tall. Where do you think the water has been coming from the entire time?"
Oh,
I'm sure our viewers have already put together that the water was coming from the toilet the entire time, unfortunately. The reason why I like to tell this story, though, is because at our company, Kinetic, we do an incredible amount of due diligence, research, and analysis to make sure that the products and portfolios that we're offering our clients aren't coming from the toilet.
that's so funny.
So if you have ever had a bad experience with something like a CD ladder or an annuity or a REIT or an investment fund, I'd like you to keep in the back of your mind that it might have been that specific product or that specific portfolio and not the category of the investment in general. So that's why diversification is so important, because there are good things in all of these different categories. You just have to find the right products and portfolios.
Sure. Can you elaborate on that? You mentioned you're an independent firm. What does that mean in terms of your ability to use different products?
It means that we don't have any specific commitments to a certain company or an insurance company or a bank or an investment management company. We also don't have any specific commitments to any products or portfolios, which means that we can really go out there and find the best stuff for our client that fits their individual situation and make it customized for them.
Wow, I love that. It's more about the client than it is about your company.
That's right. And you got to remember, there's so much out there that without an independent financial advisor that's acting as a fiduciary for you and somebody that's really qualified, like I've said before, they don't have to be a CFP or a ChFC like I am, but you really want to work with somebody that has a lot of education and a lot of experience in this business that can get out there and find you the best stuff for your situation.
Absolutely. And that's another word you said, fiduciary, that I've heard, and I think I know what it means, but maybe you could just make sure I know what it means.
Very simply, it just means that we have to act in the best interests of our clients. It means that we can't just do what we want, and we can't just do what we're limited to. We have to go out there, do our research, and find what's really best for our client and deliver that. And that's an important thing. I mean, if you're working with a doctor, you probably wouldn't work with a doctor that just sold you a product, right?
Or could only do one procedure.
Exactly. You want to make sure that you're working with somebody that can really look at the whole picture and that works in your best interest.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. So you feel like you have someone on your team that's actually working for you.
That's right.
I know some people are intimidated by pursuing financial planning because they feel like they'll almost be working for the financial planner. Like they will have to report back and, and make sure they're doing everything right. But it sounds like yours is much more
We're completely different. We are your financial concierge. We are here to service you, right? And so that's a big difference. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to give you advice. I like to say we're the advisors, but you're the decision maker. We're going to give you suggestions, and we're going to point you in all the right directions. And at the end of the day, you're going to decide what's the right fit for you.
Oh, I love that. So here's another thing that we all have to deal with at least once a year, taxes. Taxes, I think, have become something that the price we pay to live in this great country, but I want to know, how important are taxes when it comes to actually making a financial plan? Are they separate from just something you pay every year?
Tax preparation is just something you do every year, right? You go in, you get your taxes prepared, you pay your taxes, or you get a refund. That's it. That's all it is. Tax forecasting, tax efficiency, tax strategy, tax planning, that's a whole different thing. And it's something that needs to be done well in advance. A lot of these things you can't do before April. You have to have done them before December 31st. For all of you that are filing taxes right now, I'd like you to keep that in mind. It might be too late for you to do any tax strategies or tax planning for the taxes that you're filing for 2020, but it's not too late for 2021. Don't procrastinate. Don't put yourself in that same position for your 2021 taxes as you are in your 2020 taxes. Come in and see us. We're going to give you strategies that are going to be immediately actionable, help you maximize your deductions, and reduce your future tax liabilities. I can't tell you how important taxes are in your overall financial plan. A lot of people don't look at this stuff, and they don't realize how important it is.
No, I'm telling you, I'm realizing right now I've got to rethink some things. taxes, you said tax strategy. I'm curious, what do you mean? How can you use taxes to your advantage in a financial plan?
Well, there's a lot of different ways. I mean, there's tax arbitrage, tax mitigation, tax harvesting, tax avoidance. And I know a lot of the words I just said for our viewers, it might sound like another language. I understand that. But that's part of why you need somebody like us, because this can get really complicated. I mean, the tax code is hundreds, if not thousands of pages long.
And I think they do that on purpose.
Am I
wrong? I think they're trying to make it a little confusing.
I would say so. They do make it a little bit more confusing than it needs to be. But again, it shouldn't be something that scares you. You shouldn't be sticking your head in the sand like an ostrich saying, okay, I don't understand it, I can't do it. If you don't understand it, find somebody that can help you.
Learn it.
Yeah, you may not, by the way, understand all the details of how your car works, right? And when that check engine light comes on, it might be easier to procrastinate and not take it in. But the longer you wait, the worse the problems get. And sometimes the problems aren't as big as you think. It's not
most times.
Most of the time, it's not like you go into the mechanic and they say, okay, we got to overhaul the entire engine. It's oftentimes something simple. We got to top off some fluids, change the oil, maybe change the brake pads, replace the tires. Some little things that are going to fix it. But you keep waiting, and it's just going to get worse and worse. And eventually, you are going to have to overhaul that engine, and it's going to cost you a lot more money.
And it's going to cost a lot more than it maybe would have if you had just addressed it in the first place.
That's right.
Well, you're making me feel brave. You're giving me a little confidence to think about my own financial future. I want to know what a person needs to start a financial plan. Because I know I'm thinking for myself, I'm like, I have my income. I don't know what I need to get together to actually dive in.
Nothing, Betsy. You don't need anything to start a financial plan. All you need to do is put in a little bit of effort to pick up the phone. That's really all it takes. Because we're going to help you with all of that. Our company is well known as a financial concierge because we want to make it easy for you. So we send you a letter in the mail telling you everything that you may want to put together. And if you don't put anything together, don't worry, you don't have to. Because if you're having trouble putting it together or you just don't feel comfortable giving us that information right from the beginning, I completely understand. We want to work at your pace, at your comfort level. And that's one of the most important things that I think we do as a company. I understand that financial planning and making a change in your finances can be life-changing for you. And so I know that can cause a gut-wrenching kind of reaction.
No, I don't want to do it.
Yep, yeah. And I understand that. It's not my first rodeo. I've dealt with clients that have gone through this. I've dealt with clients that have gone through changes, lost jobs, gotten married, gotten divorced, lost a spouse, retired, all of the things that you can think of. I've seen those things. And so when you come in to see us and you're worried that you don't know what's going on, don't worry, we do. We've seen it a million times over again.
Yeah, that's a really good point you just made. Retirement is not the only big life change that requires a new look at your financial plan. Any kind of a job change or a loss of a family member, that's a really good point.
That's why you had asked me earlier in the segments, you had said, is it too early to do financial planning? No, it's not. I have people in their 30s, 40s, they just got married, just had kids, they lost a job, they got a job, whatever it might be. These are all things that affect your financial planning, and that's part of the reason why I believe financial planning is not one and done. It's all about ongoing monitoring.
Continual.
Yep, and continuing to watch everything and make changes along the way. That's why we meet with our clients every 3 months like clockwork. In fact, the only way we're not going to do a quarterly review with the client is if the client tells us, listen, I don't want to do a quarterly review this quarter.
Really? That's so comforting, too, because I know sometimes people get the idea that they'll meet with this financial planner once, and then it's like you never see them again. It's all just done without your knowing behind the curtain, and that's not comforting.
And don't get me wrong, you do need to get started somewhere. That's why, again, for all the viewers out there, we're offering these things complimentary because you do need to get started somewhere. And I do believe that the best place for you to get started is with a comprehensive analysis and some good recommendations of how to move forward. And that's why we're offering all the viewers these complimentary items. My book, Overtaxed, again, all you have to do is call 800-711-4818. It's available on Amazon for $14.99. So if you want to go on Amazon and buy it, I'm not stopping you, but if you want to get a copy complimentary, just give us a call and we're going to send you a copy in the mail. And then the most valuable thing that we're offering, by far and away, is that spot check analysis.
Oh, come on. That's huge.
I mean, it's our proprietary system, and I really believe that it will open your eyes to everything you might have been missing. And I'm talking about everything in your investments, your bonds, your stocks, your fees that you're paying, your overlap in terms of the holdings, all of that stuff in investments. But that's just one piece of the spot check. We also get into taxes. We'll do a full tax forecast and show you all the tax efficiencies you need. We'll go into estate planning, what kind of trust, what kind of will. We'll get into retirement cash flow planning, Social Security, all of that stuff. And again, for the viewers out there, I know it can seem overwhelming and complicated, but we're going to make it really simple. We're going to put it all together for you so that you know where everything is and you know how it's working and you know what red flags or blind spots you might be missing, because that's really what you should be paying attention to here.
We are almost out of time, but I've got to ask you one more question I just thought of. What if I'm thinking of my parents, for example, who have, I don't even think it's a financial planner. They have a firm that they've been working with. They have an established relationship that they trust. How would I convince them to call you? Because I think that you could help them, or at least just give them another set of eyes.
Convince them that they're not making a change. All they're doing is their research and their homework. And I think most intelligent people, especially people that have 250, 500, or $1 million or above in investable assets, they know that they're doing themselves a disservice by not getting that second opinion, by not getting that second perspective. And if you know that, you really should be looking out at this stuff. Because remember, when you have more and more money, every percentage point counts. I tell people this all the time. If you have $1 million, 2 percentage points per year means $20,000 a year. That means over the next 10 years, compounded, we're talking about $250,000 difference, all over 2 percentage points. And I'm not talking about just making 2% more in your investment accounts. What if that 2% comes from making a little bit more money, saving a little bit on risk, saving a little on taxes, reducing your fees? If we can do a little bit in all of these categories, making you 2% more per year is actually pretty conservative. In fact, most of the time we're able to show clients how they could be doing 5, 6, 7 percentage points better by doing all of these things together and making sure that they have a cohesive plan.
Wow, you never would have thought 1 percentage point made as much difference as it does. Well, we're almost out of time. Before we go, though, I really would love for you to run this offer by our audience one more time, because it's such a huge opportunity for you guys.
Again, complimentary. We'll send you the book. You just call 800-711-4818. That number again, 800-711-4818. You're going to speak to one of our concierge team members. They're going to get all your information, and they're going to send you a copy of this book as well as a packet about our company in the mail. Again, no cost, no obligation, no commitment whatsoever. But if you do decide to have a consultation with us, we're going to offer 2 consultations absolutely complimentary.
Wow.
First consultation, you're going to speak to myself or one of the 25+ advisors that we have working with our firm, and we're going to ask you some questions to get to know what's going on in your financial situation. And in that second consultation, we're going to put together that spot check analysis, show you all those 62 different points.
This is the good stuff.
This is what it's all about. We're going to put together that spot check analysis, go over it in detail, show you what kind of recommendations we're making and what we would do if we were your advisor. And again, you are not making any cost. You're not sending us a check in the mail for this. All you're doing is seeing if we're the right financial planning firm for you. And if not, no harm, no foul. Keep our contact information. If anything changes for you in the future, always feel free to reach back out to us.
Wow, that sounds like the best of all worlds. You get information, you get to sleep better at night knowing that you have a whole comprehensive plan. And like Ali said, if it's not the right time will come along. Really what you want to ask yourself is, what do I want to know about my future? There are so many unknowns. What do I want to know? Really, all you can know is that you've tried to plan, so please call now, 800-711-4818. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.